Hi, I'm Saheb Singh Chadha, a research analyst in the Security Studies program at Carnegie, India. Now, earlier this month, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar announced the completion of disengagement in Eastern Ladakh amidst a 4.5 year long standoff with China. The past 4.5 years have seen 100,000 troops deployed on both sides of the border, intermittent clashes, and fatalities as well. Now, this is a good opportunity to introduce a working paper that I have written for Carnegie India titled Negotiating the India China Standoff 2020 to 2024. Now, when you look back at the past 4 years, you can say, yes, both sides have been in a standoff at their border, but there's more nuance to it than that. The situation has not remained constant over the past 4 years. It has differed at different points in time, and both sides have made progress and achieved some consensus. Now, what this paper does, it actually breaks down the standoff into three distinct phases. The first phase was from April 2020 to September 2020. The second phase was from September 2020 to September 2022. And the third phase was from September 2022 to December 2024. The first phase was really the crisis period where both sides came close to the brink of war. It started with the buildup of Chinese forces in Eastern Ladakh in April May 2020. You had the first clashes on the banks of the Pangong Tso on May 5th, and you also had the Chinese side's unilateral attempts to change the status quo. Now, both sides had positive expectations from the talks that were begun to resolve these tensions, but it all changed after the Galwan crisis. On the night of 15 June, Indian and Chinese soldiers clashed in the Galwan Valley, which led to the first fatalities on the border in 4 decades. India's External Affairs Minister went on record in a conversation with his Chinese counterpart the next morning and said that this would have a significant impact on the bilateral relationship. The rest of phase one was characterized by the Chinese side resisting disengagement in the friction points that had cropped up by virtue of its attempts to change the status quo in Eastern Ladakh. This situation changed at the end of August 2020 when the Indian Army initiated Operation Snow Leopard in response to what it called provocative military movements by the Chinese side to change the status quo. Operation Snow Leopard was key in moving negotiations forward, which brings us to phase two. This phase, from September 2020 to September 2022, saw disengagement in 4 friction points, albeit with episodes of resistance from the Chinese side. You disengaged in February 2021, August 2021, and September 2022. This left both sides with the friction points of Depsang and Demchok. Now, both sides seriously differed on the status of these friction points. This brings us to phase 3, which began in September 2022. This was characterized by the Chinese side resisting disengagement in Depsang Demchok, preferring to portray the standoff as over, and preferring that the bilateral relationship between India and China, which had remained frozen since the summer of 2020, should go back to normal. The Indian side stood by its demand for complete disengagement in Eastern Ladakh before any talk of normalcy could be discussed. The differences between India and China continued till June this year, when both sides sat down in several meetings over the course of several months and fleshed out a consensus. This led to an agreement in patrolling in October 2024, followed by the meeting of the two principals, Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping, on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit in Kazan, and the announcement of disengagement in Eastern Ladakh in December 2024 by the External Affairs Minister. Now, the paper has far more details about the standoff, and it delves into some other questions as well. For example, most importantly, what was China's reasoning behind its military maneuvers on the border in Eastern Ladakh in the summer of 2020? And where do both sides go from this juncture? For more details on everything I've just said, I urge you to read the paper. It is available at the link in the video description. Thank you.